many other...
Hello and welcome to WION Live Broadcast from Washington, D.C. I'm Simon Marks, and in this bulletin we'll get you the latest news from all over the world. First up, the day's top headlines. The United States warns Russia of serious consequences if it launches an invasion of Ukraine, as NATO looks to counter a military build-up by Moscow on its neighbour's border. The CEO of pharmaceutical giant Moderna sets off alarm bells in financial markets with a warning that existing COVID-19 vaccines could be less effective against the Omicron variant than they have been against Delta. The EU Drugs and Medicines Regulator says it could approve COVID-19 vaccines adapted to target the new variant within 3 to 4 months if needed. India issues a revised list of at-risk countries over the Omicron variant. Bangladesh, which is yet to report a single Omicron case, has been removed from the list. China says the 2022 Winter Olympics will be held smoothly and on schedule, despite challenges posed by the emergence of the Omicron variant. And India's economy grows 8.4% year-on-year in the July to September quarter, as reopenings after the pandemic-induced lockdown accelerated. Well, the Cold War-era foes are once again at loggerheads, America and Russia, with Ukraine as the point of contention. The growing concern regards a military build-up by Russia near the Ukrainian border, and the US and its NATO allies are willing to step up threats, hoping to stop short of provoking Moscow into further aggression. Speaking on a visit to Latvia, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken warned Moscow of serious consequences if Russia escalates its troop build-up along the Ukrainian border.
We have seen Russia's playbook many times over, and part of that playbook is to attempt to create and manufacture a so-called provocation as justification for something that Russia is planning to do all along. And so whether what's been reported fits into that playbook, I don't know. But as I've already said on a couple of occasions, and again, we'll have a lot more to say about it tomorrow, we are very concerned about the movements we've seen along Ukraine's border. We know that Russia often combines those efforts with internal efforts to destabilize a country. That's part of the playbook, and we're looking at it very closely. Any escalatory actions by Russia would be of great concern to the United States, as they would to Latvia, and any renewed aggression would trigger serious consequences.
Elsewhere in Europe, talks have resumed on the Iran nuclear deal, and diplomats involved in them are striking an upbeat tone in Vienna. But we still do not know if this positive tone will lead to concrete deliverables. Let's run through what's happening. The European official chairing the talks has confirmed an optimistic tone, saying that he feels positive about discussions after the first day of talks, though he admitted that the Iranian delegation had stuck to its tough stance of demanding that all sanctions against Tehran should be lifted.
I feel extremely positive about what I have seen today in the Joint Commission. There is clearly a will to engage. There is clearly a will on all the delegations to listen to the Iranian positions brought by the new team, and there is clearly a will of the Iranian delegation to engage in serious work and bring JCPOA back to life. So I feel positive that we can be doing important things for the next weeks to come.
While the initial assessment of the talks remains hopeful, the main contentious issues on sanctions and Iran's nuclear program will come to a head over the coming days. This is the 7th round of talks between Western powers and Iran. It comes after a 5-month hiatus. Iran's new hardline government has so far been reluctant to restart negotiations or even meet face-to-face with the United States. The talks to get both Washington and Tehran back into compliance with the 2015 nuclear deal are being conducted indirectly, with other officials shuttling between Iranian and American officials.
ما تو این نشست بر این نکته تاکید داشتیم که عامل اصلی شرایط کنونی اقدام کشوری است که با نقض توافق و با نقض قطعنامه شورای امنیت از توافق خارج شد و برخلاف قانون و مقررات بین المللی تحریم‌های گذشته رو مجدداً بازگردوند و همینطور تحریم‌های جدیدی رو علیه ملت ایران.
After months of delay, diplomats say there is a sense of urgency now to get things done. Since 2018, when the United States under then-President Donald Trump pulled out of the deal and reimposed crippling sanctions on Tehran, Iran has also abandoned the restrictions that the deal placed on its nuclear program. It has already enriched uranium up to 60% purity, a short step away from weapons-grade levels of 90%. Iran's stockpile of uranium now exceeds the limits set by the accord, though Iran maintains that its atomic program is for purely peaceful purposes. It has not allowed the IAEA, the UN's nuclear watchdog, to inspect its facilities, and it revoked their access to camera recordings at nuclear facilities. Iran has demanded that all US and EU sanctions imposed since 2017 must be removed and that the US must guarantee that Washington will not pull out of the deal again in future. These are demands that US and European diplomats consider unrealistic. The outcomes of discussions in the coming days will be crucial in determining whether any real progress has been achieved. The emergence of a virulent yet uncertain new variant of COVID-19 has sparked new concerns all over the world. Is it more fatal? Is it more contagious? Will it work against the existing vaccines? We do not know yet. On the one hand, scientists and medical experts are studying the latest mutation and its impact or possible severity. On the other hand, countries around the world are actively suspending travel from South Africa and other southern African nations. And amid the frenzy, the World Health Organization says that the risk related to the latest variant is very high. And a reminder that we have not parted ways with the pandemic yet. Here's a report on what we know about the Omicron variant so far.
Omicron's very emergence is another reminder that although many of us might think we're done with COVID-19, it's not done with us.
That was the head of the World Health Organization after a frantic weekend of headlines about the new COVID Omicron variant. Global governments are racing to assess the risk of this new strain, which has already been detected in many countries. Scientists say it could take weeks, and some are preparing for the worst. Israel and Japan, for example, have closed down their borders to foreigners. Other countries are reimposing travel and social distancing measures. But as of Monday afternoon, there have been no known deaths directly linked to Omicron. And in South Africa, part of the region where Omicron was first detected, Government advisors, including a Columbia University disease expert, are saying vaccines should still be a major safeguard against it. This was Professor Salim Abdul with Columbia and South Africa's University of KwaZulu-Natal with the government on Monday.
Our current treatment still effective? Yes, smiley face, because we know that most of the things we use in our standard treatment protocols should be effective. Based on what we know and based on how the other variants of concern have reacted to vaccine immunity, we can expect that we will still see high effectiveness for hospitalization and severe disease, and that protection of the vaccines is likely to remain strong. Now, I don't know this definitively. The studies are being done. But based on what we know, we can expect that this is the likely scenario.
Vaccine makers, including Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and Pfizer's partner BioNTech, have said they're already working on new vaccines specifically targeted to Omicron in case the current vaccines prove ineffective.
Moving on to Afghanistan now, where the country's new Taliban rulers are scrambling to secure funds and save their shrinking economy. The World Bank has stepped up and announced a finalised proposal. They've decided to deliver up to $500 million from a frozen Afghanistan aid fund to humanitarian agencies. Board members will meet later to discuss further details. The money will go mainly to address urgent healthcare needs in Afghanistan, where fewer than 7% of the population has been vaccinated against COVID-19. According to reports, the proposal calls for the World Bank to transfer the money to the UN and humanitarian agencies without any further interference over the distribution of the funds. The development comes as the Taliban continues to ask for help to bring the country's frozen funds back. The latest on the list was Taliban co-founder and Afghanistan's acting Prime Minister Mullah Mohammed Hassan Akhund, who last week vowed that his government will not interfere in other countries' internal affairs, and also urged international charities to continue offering aid to the war-ravaged nation. Afghanistan is currently facing a worsening humanitarian crisis, with looming winter food shortages and growing poverty. The Taliban takeover led to a cut-off of international aid to Afghanistan and the blocking of billions of dollars in the country's assets held overseas. The World Food Programme has started to distribute cash to Afghan families to help them provide support amid this economic meltdown. Global aid agencies are warning that more than half of Afghanistan's 38 million people are expected to face hunger this winter. Taliban rulers have time and again asked for the release of the frozen assets. The Taliban claim the money is not for their personal use, but for the well-being of Afghans. The World Bank suspended disbursements after the Taliban takeover. Washington also seized nearly $9.5 billion in assets that belong to the Afghan Central Bank, while the US Treasury has provided comfort letters assuring banks that they can process humanitarian transactions. Concern about sanctions continues to prevent the passage of many basic supplies like food and medicine to Afghanistan.
The committee is in talks with TikTok.
Now to the former ruler of Afghanistan, Ashraf Ghani. It's been more than 100 days since the former president fled to the United Arab Emirates as the Taliban seized the corridors of power in Kabul. Since then, Ashraf Ghani has stayed away from politics and even the public eye. Now, a Taliban official claims that the UAE has banned Ashraf Ghani from engaging in Afghan politics while he is living in Dubai. According to the Taliban official's tweet, not just Ghani, but his former National Security Advisor, Hamdullah Mohib, and the governor of the Balkh province, Atta Muhammad Noor, are also barred from engaging in political activities. The UAE, however, has not confirmed whether it's imposed the ban on Ghani and his aides. The latest claim of a ban on Ghani's political activities comes as the UAE held talks with the Taliban over the running of Kabul airport. According to a draft deal with the Taliban, Turkey and Qatar will jointly operate the airport, with Ankara providing support and security through a private firm. Ghani made his last public appearance in an address after the Taliban overran Kabul. Speaking from his home in Dubai, he apologised to the Afghan people. He justified his exit as a step to avoid widespread violence, and he denied claims that he had reportedly fled with around $169 million in cash. After the pandemic and calls for a diplomatic boycott, China is facing a new hurdle on its path to hosting the Winter Olympics, the Omicron variant. But Beijing is confident that the Games will take place smoothly and on schedule.
我想肯定会带来一些防控方面的挑战，但是有了我们中方应对新冠病毒的防控经验，我完全相信冬奥会会如期顺利成功举行。
There's another hurdle, climate change. Changing wind patterns have made it difficult for organisers to build snow-clad arenas suitable for sports. Our next report tells you more.
Strong wind is hampering snowmaking for the Winter Olympics in China.
I want to try to get the snow quality on my jacket, but it's too much wind.
Swissman Jacques Fournier has been making snow since 1994.
The temperature is minus 11 degrees.
His team ensures snow is properly made on the trails, ramps and slopes in the arid heights of Zhangjiakou, nearly 125 miles northwest of Beijing in Hebei province. But the arid climate are making things tricky. The wind is too strong for the snow to stick.
Actually, it's a lot of difference because here is no humidity, it's very dry, and it's a lot of wind. So on that kind of condition, the goal and the target is really to make the snow and to make the snow compact and to prepare rapidly to not let use it by the wind.
Zhangjiakou will host Nordic, snowboarding and freestyle skiing events at the Games in February 2022. However, the area receives little natural snow. This fact has raised concerns among environmentalists about demand for water to make artificial snow. On a recent particularly gusty day, snow guns sprayed 2.1 litres of water per second. The more the wind blows snow off course, the more is needed. Alpine skiing events will take place at the National Alpine Ski Centre in Beijing, which gets even less snow. Games officials say conservation efforts will minimise the impact of water used during the Games.
And moving on to some exciting news from the world of sport. Lionel Messi has been awarded the men's Ballon d'Or crown for a record-extending 7th time in his career. The Argentine legend edged out Bayern Munich's Robert Lewandowski to win world football's most prestigious individual trophy during a glittering ceremony in Paris.
The who's who of men's football were present at the red carpet as the awards, which are organised by France Football magazine, returned after a COVID-enforced cancellation last year. Despite the presence of the men's stars, only a handful of female players were in attendance, as the event was scheduled right in the middle of the World Cup qualifying window. Messi was the heavy favourite to claim the main prize of the night, and to no one's surprise, he added another iconic golden ball to his already lavish collection. Messi's golden moment was made extra special as his former teammate and close friend Luis Suarez handed him the trophy. The 34-year-old Messi bagged 30 goals in his farewell season for Barcelona and won the Copa del Rey. He's also scored 4 times for his new club Paris Saint-Germain. but his exploits with the national team earned him the prize as he led Argentina to the Copa America crown for his first major international trophy at senior level. The award is voted for by 180 journalists from around the world, and Messi edged Lewandowski by 33 points. He even paid a rich tribute to the Polish marksman in his acceptance speech.
I have won this award several times, but always had the feeling that I was missing something, that I had unfinished business. But this time it was on the contrary, after achieving my dream, after so many years and many setbacks. Finally, we did it. I want to tell Lewandowski that it was an honor to fight with him for this award. I think you deserve the Ballon d'Or. Last year, everybody agreed you were the winner. I think France football should give you the award you deserve.
And the women's Ballon d'Or was awarded to Barcelona captain Alexia Putellas. The 27-year-old Spanish midfielder has been the standout player in the women's game this year. She was an integral part of Barcelona's treble-winning side, scoring 26 goals across competitions last season, including in the 4-0 victory against Chelsea in the Women's Champions League final. Putellas edged out club teammate Jennifer Hermoso for the prize, which was first introduced only in 2018.
Many feelings I have at the moment. I feel privileged to represent so many people with a lot of pride. And this trophy will certainly not be the last for Barcelona. Barcelona have had this great project at the club for women's football, and it's just started. We're going to see more Barcelona players with this Ballon d'Or.
There were a few more awards given out on the gala night. Barcelona midfielder Pedri was awarded the Copa Trophy for the best under-21 player of the year. The 19-year-old enjoyed a fantastic first season with the Catalans and then impressed during Spain's semi-final showing at Euro 2020. The Lev Yashin Award for the best goalkeeper of the year went to Gianluigi Donnarumma, who was the player of the tournament in Italy's Euro 2020 triumph. 2 new awards were introduced in this edition. A Striker of the Year prize that was won by Robert Lewandowski for his mind-boggling 64 goals for club and country last season. There was also a Club of the Year prize that was awarded to Thomas Tuchel's UEFA Champions League winners, Chelsea.
Of course, we would like to be there with you, but unfortunately...
And finally, here in the US, we are all gearing up for the festive season, and the White House, of course, is no exception. US First Lady Jill Biden held an event for children on Monday to unveil the White House holiday decorations. The event was all fun and frolic, with a puppet show and a holiday sing-along. We'll leave you with these visuals as we wind up this edition of WION Live Broadcast. I'll see you again tomorrow.
Hello! How are you? Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you for that introduction. So here they are before my son was deployed.
Oh, so this is the White House, huh?
This is right, Arab.